lived in Texas for 10 years, and I am now a vice president at Alethea Capital in Lagos.
So tell me about yourself. You grew up in Nigeria and then you went abroad?
Sure, I grew up in Nigeria. I spent the first 17 years of my life right here in Nigeria. I went to primary and secondary school, and I left to go to university. I did my undergrad and graduate degrees in the States.
And where were you living exactly in the States?
In Texas. I lived in Texas for the whole 10 years.
And were you studying the whole time?
Oh no, most definitely not. I went to undergrad, I worked for a bit, and then I did my MBA. After my MBA, I came home.
Great. So what work were you doing between your studies?
I worked for a few years as a financial analyst in Texas for a niche sort of investment banking outfit. And then I moved on from there to a telecommunications firm, and I worked there also for a little bit.
And can you remember the moment that you decided to come back? What happened?
Well, I wouldn't say there was a moment, but I made that decision while I was in business school. And really, I just got to the point where I was, I think I just need to go home. I mean, I had a great time in business school, don't get me wrong. I had a great time in the States. Texas is like my second home. But finally, I just got to the point where I'm like, home is where I really need to be.
After 10 years?
After 10 years. And that was it.
And what did you miss about home when you were away?
Well, I think I would say the thing I missed the most is just being, not being the odd person out. Like, I really missed being just like everyone around me and not being this, this African girl. So really for me, that's what I miss the most is being with people just like me. And I also missed, the opportunity to hang out with, to cultivate or to continue the friendships that I had 17 years living here, so I had quite a bit of friendships, and when I moved away, most of those sort of just died away, and I missed that opportunity to continue those friendships. I think, while I met lots of great people in the States, still I think some of those friendships would have been worth keeping. It was just too difficult to do that, from thousands of miles away.
What was the best thing and worst thing about coming home?
Well, honestly, the best thing about coming home is that my mom and my family were so glad to have me back that, I was a princess for those first few months. So I think they were just trying to make the transition easy for me. So basically, everybody went out of their way to make me comfortable, and that was great. It really made me feel welcome. The worst thing I would say is just reacclimatizing and finding my way around. In the States, I lived by myself for quite a bit of the time, and so I took my car to the shop to get it serviced. I did most things myself, right? But coming home, it was quite a different ball game. Right? I didn't know where to go do what, and so that. For me, it was a bit unsettling to suddenly not be as independent as I was used to being. But really, after a while, I got used to those things, and the frustrations of traffic and power, and those things you never get used to. You just sort of cope. My career has definitely benefited from my moving back home. Yes, the experience and the educational background were helpful. But I think it also helped for me to have a sort of a balanced perspective, and also to have a different approach to work. It's when you work in the States and you go to an American business school, you learn a certain work ethic, work approach, which is quite different from what is more common in Nigeria. And I found that to be very helpful.
What differences, for example?
Well, we are less, Nigerians are typically less assertive. From school age, you are taught, kids are meant to be seen and not heard. You don't question you don't question people older than you, and so on and so forth. You don't, I mean, in the States, it's really the other way around. You're really encouraged to have a voice, to ask questions, to question.
Right.
Even your professors are there to be questioned.
Yeah.
And so I really value the opportunity to gain that sort of exposure, because it really helped my career. And I struggled in the first few years of school and even work while I was in the States. Because I'm like more naturally introverted, and then to add the less assertive culture to that, it really put me in a bad position. But I think that's really helped me both in my career and personal life to learn a bit more aggressiveness.
And so when did you come home?
In 2004.
And then did you go straight to Alethea, or what
No.
did you camp around?
When I came home, I worked first with Accenture in Nigeria. I spent 3 years doing strategy consulting, and then I went to UNDP in Botswana for a year, and then I came to Alethea.
And when you talk about balance,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean?
Well, I think it's just understanding things from more than one perspective. And so I've lived in the States, which is a very developed country with a fairly well-run economy. Things for the most part work as they should. Spent a little bit of time in Botswana, which is, maybe also a developing economy, but it's also very organized and very orderly, and a very structured environment. And then I've lived in Nigeria, which is like, chaos in almost every aspect. And so things are less organized. It's a developing economy, which, I don't necessarily think is a disadvantage. I kind of enjoy the level of activity and the feeling of I don't know what's going to happen next. It keeps you on your toes, I think. And so, but having lived in all those environments sort of gives me a very rounded perspective. Helps me. It's easy to become frustrated by Nigeria, because many things are difficult. Even the most simple things can be complicated. So it's easy to just be bogged down in those frustrations. But my other experiences help me to see where the opportunity lies, and see that this is a work in progress, and not be disappointed because it doesn't work like the United States.
Somebody thinking of coming home?
I would say do it right now. Just pack up your things, get on the plane, and just jump in feet first. I don't think that there is ever a perfect time to make a significant move, such as moving back to your country, wherever that may be. It's just one of those things where you just have to close your eyes, jump in, and swim.
And what do you think about the activities of Homecoming Revolution?
Well, I think I think this is a great platform for people who are considering coming home and who are not quite sure how they would cope, and I think it's good for them for that you're showcasing stories of people who have done it and who have done it successfully and who don't have any regrets about having done it. And I think that's a really great thing, because I think that there's a lot of talent outside this country that really could be put to good use, and there are valid good opportunities for people like that.